Let's jump right into it. It was last week, Jimmy, that you had kind of sent something. It was after we found out that I was illegal again with Rivian for, an awesome t-shirt shop. And I think you're maybe, trying to cheer me up, change the subject. You're like, hey, change the subject. Let's talk about the new test drives they got going on. No, it wasn't like that. But it was around that time when you had mentioned discovering some new roles for this test drive thing. And I actually have it up here. So let me just switch the screen. There's an event team manager, and then we also saw it on the event demo drive specialist, and there's quite a few of these out there. But it's this thing here, 4-month traveling demonstration, and it's not starting till when? Can you give me the details and kind of just a little bit about the feeling that you got when you discovered this role, this position, when you did?
So I don't know when these jobs are going to start. But the feel that I got for it was it just from a personal perspective, it seems rather late.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this and the 7 things we must know, and I think all 3 of us were in agreement when we wouldn't even consider a test drive. We would get these without driving them.
Mm-hmm.
But for the good majority of people that are going to want test drives, my gut reaction is that there could be a delay, but I really hope not. I'm hoping that this Thursday or Friday is some really good news. Fingers crossed, both of them.
Yeah. I mean, I know just when it first came out, the text you came, or like the text that kind of came through, I won't kind of repeat verbatim, although it was completely appropriate. It was just kind of like,
Right.
oh man, this just
It.
seems, yeah.
Yeah. I think I said this screams
Yeah,
delay.
right.
Were the exact words that I used.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you
It.
backed off that a little bit, or?
Uh. I could think I've kind of reeled myself back a little bit, only because the history of everything that Rivian has done to this point. It seems to them it's probably super calculated. To us, it seems completely insane.
Yeah. Skylar, what's your read on things these days as it relates to this?
So man, I'm really trying to stay optimistic, but I agree with Jimmy. I mean, there's just so many things that are pointing in the direction of a potential delay. And, all of the positions still yet to be filled, including very important ones as it relates to test drives and people actually seeing these vehicles in person. Along with many, many more, right? Rivian's still hiring a ton of people and still trying to ramp up production.
Mm-hmm.
And, the last thing that we heard was in an article, maybe Bloomberg or maybe it was Chicago Tribune or something like that, that said right now there is 1 vehicle per day rolling off the line, which seems, I mean, we're in May now. Deliveries start in June. So, well, maybe deliveries start in June. So, all I have to say is, I'm trying to stay optimistic, but I think I'm going to need a lot more of this.
You would think that if they're going to start delivering in June, that like financing's happening right now, not just announced, like that this is going to be available, and insurance is actually happening, not just announced that it'll be available. It just seems like there is 100 open loops. And I remember talking about the possibility of delay with you two right when we started this stuff a few months ago. Like, man, there's just too much to do. And it just still feels too much like that. And we're just so much down to the wire now. And I don't know if we're willing to predict a delay. One thing that I'd love to kind of transition it to is, what does it mean for Rivian if there is a delay? And that's from one of our good buddies, Jeff, who's been on. He kind of mentioned that, I think, to you, Jimmy. And that's a good question. We could talk about that. And shorter predictions. I mean, my prediction is that deliveries start in June. Will they deliver 1 vehicle on June 30th? technically that would be starting in June. But it just doesn't seem to me that like we're going to get thousands of vehicles in June at this point. That's maybe my prediction, but predictions are then, what would it mean? Let's tackle any of those in any order. Go ahead.
So first and foremost, I think you're right, Kyle. I think that, you know, that Rivian will probably find a way to deliver, and I'm going to say at least 2 vehicles.
Yep.
That way it's deliveries, plural.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I do feel like they're not as far along as I would like for them to be. And with regards to what that means to Rivian, if they actually under deliver expectations of the pre-order community, I think there could be a significant amount of cancellations. And if I'm Rivian, the way that I would want to preempt that as much as possible. Be transparent, set, you know, realistic expectations and communicate, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely open themselves up to more competition. And competition, I mean, competition is never a bad thing. It's always a great thing. But, you know, when it comes to actually creating sales and making sales, if we even just get a couple months closer, you know, 6 months closer to say the F-150, you know, especially for the Adventure and Explorer package, R1T and R1S is coming out, you know, starting in January. You know, you definitely open the door for losing sales to them, the Hummer, you know, the plethora of other vehicles that are coming out. Especially a lot of those people that are on the fence with, you know, the Cybertruck, even though, you know, pretty much since November of 2019, you know, it's been kind of quiet. But I mean, you definitely open the door for a lot of people to start second guessing that move and jumping ship and going somewhere else.
Yeah, and let's not forget, I mean, Rivian is still unproven. I mean, right. GM is a known entity. Tesla is a known entity. And regardless of your thoughts about those, I mean, they do have a track record, and right. You know, they're established companies.
Yeah, I think your one saving grace though for Rivian, you know, like we talked about actually with Jeff, is the ability to skip that middleman and go direct to manufacturer for it. For those of us that are lucky enough to go straight to manufacturer, you know, not having to deal with dealerships, that whole experience is miserable. So, you know, there still could be a small segment of people that, no matter what, they'd much rather go through, you know, straight to manufacturer and get a vehicle versus having to go to your local Chevy or Ford dealership.
So that reminds me, when you were saying people going waiting for the Ford F-150 Hummer EV, there's also just this large segment of people who are just going to go to their Land Rover dealership or their GM dealership and just get another ICE truck one more time because they're just tired of waiting. I mean, we talked with Jeff that same thing with Fender. So there are all other kinds of options that people just kind of lose hope. But I would loop back around to Skylar's thing about the unproven. I think that, to me, the biggest consequence of what it means for Rivian, besides all the haters just having a heyday, because there's always going to be that. See, I told you. I mean, they're already basically exaggerating the delay, the one delay. Like, oh, we heard about these guys like 14 years ago and they still haven't delivered. It's just vapor. It's just never going to, you know what I mean? We hear that all the time. Right. And it's not true. There's been one delay, but those people are going to pile it on. But let those people pile on whatever. The people that you really care about, the pre-order holders, because Rivian is unproven, that term, it's just going to be like, why, what's going on, and now can I really trust? There's so many people who like trust that maybe Rivian will eventually arrive there, but buying number one, like the first version is already risky enough. And if there's delays, to me, it's just like, man, maybe I just want to wait, let them get through a generation or two, get this stuff figured out, and then I'll go ahead and do it because they're facing delays. So who knows what that means? Now, it could just mean supply chain stuff and ramping up production, but it could also mean problems. And you just start thinking about that and, making up all kinds of stories. And, so yeah.
And Kyle, a lot of people feel that way anyway.
Right.
And yeah, I feel like Rivian has the most to lose with the pre-order holders like all three of us that are eager to get the first run of vehicles, even though we know that they may have some issues.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So if there is a delay, it's not necessarily a headshot, as far as a lethal head blow, but it could be a body blow, who knows?
Yeah. And once again, I mean, I'm making some decisions based on timing. Literally, I agreed today to sell my Grand Cherokee to a friend of mine. So yeah, it's gone. So I need that R1S quick. Come on, Rivian.
Man, yeah, you do. The only other thing I can think of is just to the audience, let us know what you guys think. What kind of issue, what will people be saying? What kind of blow will it be to Rivian or to the pre-order fan base and whatnot? Do you think it'll be a big deal or not? And then let's hear your predictions. We've kind of told ours a little bit, but let us know what you guys think, because there are a lot of great feedback and great insights just from the community.
Totally agree. I mean, I'd love to hear predictions. I'd also love to hear, what does it mean to you? I mean, I feel like the three of us are fairly like-minded in a lot of ways. But yeah, I'd love to hear what other people think.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially those that have already gotten rid of vehicles, like we talked about earlier. I mean, I know a couple offhand that have already, Jeff, come back to, actually both Jeffs, Mafro and Jazzy. I mean, both of these guys either passed up a vehicle or sold one already, knowing that they were close to receiving a vehicle.
Yeah, you got Schultze here, still driving his 2001 Tahoe, and part of that reason is because I pre-ordered this like 2.5 years ago, right? And I'm not going to go buy an intermediate one so I just been hanging on, and I'm going to a baseball tournament this weekend, and it's starting to get armpit hot here in Illinois. We go from winter to armpit fast, and I discovered that like my AC needs charged, and I don't even want to spend that money because to me it's like I just got to get through August. I'll sweat for 2 months, but if it's going to be October or December, well, I think I'm going to get my AC charged. I'm going to go ahead and spend that $50 or whatever it is.
Right.
Stuff like that.
And then another consequence that's kind of interesting, it was talked about in one of the forums, used car prices right now are ridiculously high.
Yeah. Yep.
And 2 months ago, I looked at Carvana for our 2017 Nissan Murano, 19 and change. And immediately we started, every little penny we had, I started putting towards principal, knowing that basically I was going to trade it in, get rid of it on Carvana, or get rid of it to Rivian, and then just walk away scot-free. I looked it up in Carvana Saturday or Sunday, 4,000 more bucks.
Oh, come on. That's not.
I'm not kidding. $23,500.
Holy
versus 19 and change 2 months ago.
That is definitely a rooftop tent and maybe a camp kitchen.
Exactly. Isn't that insane? But what do I can't, Nikki works from home. I can't leave her here, while I'm at work, unless I have her go rent a car anytime she wants to go to the grocery store or get out of the house or have her mom come pick her up.
She needs to download that app.
Download what?
The Uber app.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Just Uber everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then what happens if it drags on for 6 more months?
Exactly.
I don't know. Do I take the $4,000 now, or do I?
Let's talk
If
about
that
what
drug
happened.
on 6 months, Jimmy would totally be in the doghouse.
Oh man, she'd kill me. She would kill me.
Okay, folks, thanks again for watching. If you get a chance, please check us out at rivianstories.com for a great community. Don't forget our shop. And remember, every single like and subscribe here on YouTube helps, so we appreciate if you subscribe. Thanks.